About a month ago, a buddy of mine, who's a Navy doc named John Bauer, asked me to meet his dad. I was kind of excited because I knew that his dad was also in the Navy and had many experiences over a very long life. But what intrigued me the most wasn't so much that Louis Bauer, Ph.D., had been in the Navy, but that he had spent some time in sales, but was a Christian clinical hypnotherapist. This was very intriguing. But the thing that really made it poignant was that Mr. Bauer, his wife, recently passed away. And Mr. Lewis turns 90 this May 2024. But after 67 years of marriage to the love of his life, his perspective on many things was very, very important for me to hear. I know you're going to love this, so grab a box of Kleenex and enjoy.
I really believe that we all have a healing ability within us. It's not taking nothing away from God, but God created this with us. I mean, let's face it, if you cut your finger, you don't sit there and look at your finger and say, well, let me see if I can get that cell to go to the skin cell, and I hope that nerve cell attaches itself right to the nerve cell. You might wash it off, put a Band-Aid on, you might not even wash it off. But the body knows how to heal it. Now, why don't we have that faith in maybe if we develop a certain problem or a certain sickness or an illness? It doesn't mean it's a death sentence for us. But if a doctor says, you got 6 months to live, 6 months you're going to be gone. Because your mind will accept that as a fact, as a truth. It believes it to be, and then it develops it into a reality, so to speak. In our belief system, Jesus mentions this so many times about, when he was going around healing people, he didn't go up to everybody on a street corner and say, hey, would you like to get rid of that headache? Would you like to get up and walk? Would you like to see? No. It was only the people that came to him, expressed the willingness, they came to him. And what did he say? He didn't perform some kind of dramatic healing experience and a burst of fire and everything. He said very simply, go. Your faith healed you. Think about this. What was he trying to tell us? We have something already established within us that we were created with. This ain't no magic stuff. This is facts that the body can heal itself. But we put blockages there with somebody else told us. That can't happen. Well, that's never heard of before. It's the same way with running the 4-minute mile. Nobody could do it. The record went for years and years. Nobody could break the record until finally somebody came along and broke it. And after that, everybody keeps breaking it more and more. Somehow it hit the belief system. But wait a minute, if that guy did it, I could do it. And that's the same way with people that having a problem. It's like, well, he did it. Maybe I can do it. So you give them some faith, some hope. And once they have that, then without any conscious effort, it starts dropping down into the belief system. Now, once it's in our belief system, we're going to respond to what we believe in. It's just that simple. You take a child, for example, and if you told that child, you have green hair, they're going to believe that. And it's going to only be till they're old enough that they can rationalize or analyze things when they'll go to their mom or their dad and say, you told me my hair was green. It's really black. but was it green when I was a baby? They still have some of that false belief system there. So we do respond to what we believe in. In most cases, we don't believe we could be healed. We don't believe that can happen for us. We don't believe we can be successful because of the negative programming that was put in from time to time by other people. And then the worst part about it is we start giving ourselves this self-talk, which is very powerful because it's coming directly from us. So the subconscious is sitting there and saying, oh, well, that must be true. So let's go ahead and manifest it. You know, the subconscious knows how to control all of our body functions. It keeps our heart beating. It keeps your blood circulating. It keeps your body temperature stable. It knows if there's any infection anywhere throughout your body. It knows how to develop thousands of white corpuscles. It'll send them to that area. We don't have to do anything consciously about it. It knows how to do that. So it's like, why step in the way of that by picking up, well, I'm not worthy for that. I'll never be successful because I'm not educated enough. I can't do that. I don't have enough of money. And we start feeding this negative stuff to ourselves. And the subconscious is wide open, taking it in literally, because the subconscious, it can't distinguish whether something is right or wrong, true or false, or good or bad. What it does, it takes things in literally. Now, the conscious, the analytical part of our mind, it'll say, oh, well, 2 and 2 is 4. If I touch that hot stove, I'm going to burn my finger. But we allow things to go into the subconscious mind. And it's like, that's not true. People will say, oh, you can't do that because you're too old. You can't do that because you're too sick. Or you can't do that because you don't have enough of money. Oh, you'll never be able to do that. And the sad thing is we begin to believe that. Mm-hmm. And then once it's in our belief system, that's it. It has the power to manifest it. So we kind of got to, I think, watch what we tell ourselves in a self-talk or what we let other people tell us. I really believe, even before we were born, but from the time we were separated from our mother's womb, we become a tape recorder. And we are programmed. Right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, green hair, black hair, doesn't matter. We begin to believe that in which we were programmed. And then it's sad because most of the time, once that false belief is put there, then we start putting some binders on us. And it's like, oh, I can't look over here because that's not right. Oh, I was taught that don't do this, and oh, that's sinful, or that's evil, or you're gonna go to hell for that, and and so all of this kind of negative self-talk, then we remain. The sad thing is, a lot of people remain with these blinders on until the day they die. That's the sad thing. But when you start taking these blinders off, it's like, oh my God, there is so much more that is out there. And that's where I am now, at 90 years old. It's like I've never had this excitement of learning more and more, of sitting down and just meditating and asking God, what is it that I need to know? What is it that I need to know to help me to be a better person or to help me to help somebody else? I am open to that information. And it's amazing how it just starts coming to you. So, yeah, sometimes you got to watch what you pray for because you're going to get it. And so it's just like, it's like you were saying, earlier, you got to make that first step. If you sit back and you wish, oh man, I'd like to do this one day, and oh man, this would be my dream if I could only accomplish this. And that's all you do is sit back and daydream about it or thinking about it. Then that's all it's going to be is wishful thinking. But once you put that first step out there, even though it may seem a little uneven or a little wobbly or a little thin ice, or you make that step to where you want to go, then it seems like doors open, people come into your life. There's an old saying that, how does that go? It's like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And when a student is really, really ready, the teacher will disappear.
Well said.
So it's like, it's like you come in here. You're going to teach me some things maybe in order to do podcasts, because I really feel in my heart, my desire is to help people. And especially like veterans. My God, there's just so many boys out there that really need help. There's also this saying that give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you're going to feed him for life. And that's what my whole desire is. It's not to tell a person, do this, do that. You shouldn't do this. This ain't right. That's right. It's just saying, like I say, I've been a hypnotherapist for 30 some odd years. But like I was telling John, I said, you know what I feel like now? I feel like a chef. I remember my mom used to tell me, a good chef, when they're cooking meatballs and spaghetti, they'll take one of the spaghettis and they'll throw it up on a wall. And if it sticks, it's ready. So I guess I'm just a spaghetti thrower. I just want to throw the information out there. What resonates with you? Oh, but God, by all means, take it and start using it. What doesn't? Let it fall. Now, it may be a week, a month, maybe even longer. You may go back and pick up that spaghetti. And it's like, wow, it starts resonating with you. So don't get rid of it. You may not want to accept it right now, and that's okay. But don't get rid of it, because one day it may be very meaningful and helpful to you. And that's what I feel. And it takes all the pressure away. It's like all I'm doing is throwing spaghettis out there from what I've learned. And you asked about being in the service and how did I relate that to what I'm doing now. When I was young, I just graduated from grammar school, and I don't know how long it was, maybe 3 months or maybe a little bit more. I went to high school, but I had to quit school. My dad had throat cancer, and he got to the point where he couldn't work at all no more. They botched up his neck and had no more saliva veins, and he was suffering. He was in bad shape. So I had to go out and go to work, $25 a week, but it was an income. And, once you do that, well, then school and everything goes to the wayside. Life starts taking over, and you meet the challenges, and you got to do what you got to do. But again, I kid around, with people saying, yeah, I went from ABCD to GED to Ph.D. So it's not impossible, and it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And so as long as you have that desire, that faith, that hope, that belief that you can do something, to help people, then God will open that door for you. He'll put the people in your life. And it's amazing. I could have wrote another book just saying about the people that came into my life and how different things have changed. And it's like with you here today. This is just the beginning. This is what we're going to do today. But, God knows how many more people we're going to be able to touch from you. Today, by you coming here, you just took that pebble and dropped it in the pool. You're going to see the first splash, but you're not going to know how far out your ripples are going to go. From me and from him and from other people that are going to be in contact with me. And that's how it spreads. It's not, you got to do this, you got to do that. This is right, that's wrong. It's like, if it's good, if it's something to help you to be a better person or to help you to help somebody else, then it's coming from the right place. Well, I try to give everyone, whether they coming to me before, when I had to practice or even coming to me now, I still see people, not on a daily basis, not that often. But if someone calls me up and I can hear that they're hurting and they're searching or they're seeking, then it's my duty to make myself available. I don't know what I can do, but I just need to make myself available. And so, the reason I think, you said something about how we put our spirit in bondage. But we do that to ourselves because of what we were taught. Or we're not good enough. And you know what I'm saying? The same old humdrum type of thing. And it's only till you become aware of that there is something different out there, something that you can use to help you grow in a spiritual way. Then it's like, there's nothing you can do because you're not aware. How can you say if you like chocolate or how good chocolate is if you haven't eaten chocolate? So you have to somewhat experience it before so you can talk with, I don't know if the right word is intelligent. That might not be the right word, but so you can let that person know where you're coming from and where they're coming from. What I try to do in everyone that I talk with, whether I'm doing a private session or whether I'm talking to them on the phone or whether they come here, I try to give them, I call it a protective shield. And if you had to put a name on it, maybe you could call it an awareness shield. Because most time we're not conscious of our consciousness. We just respond spontaneously to things. And so you put on this protective shield of awareness so that when something comes at you from outside of yourself, you do not any longer allow it to penetrate you and cause you just to respond spontaneously to it. It hits the shield and you see it. Oh, now here's where the choice comes in. Here's where God gave us the free will. We can choose to continue thinking about that, keeping our spirit in bondage, or we can say this has been long enough and make the conscious choice, the decision within ourselves. I'm not going to allow that anymore. That thought that's been plaguing my mind for almost ever, I refuse to accept it anymore. Now you're using the shield. Now this is one of your tools, okay? Another powerful tool is forgiveness. Oh my God. I don't think any healing in any part of the human trinity the body, mind, and spirit. I don't think any healing can take place as long as you're holding on to anger or resentment or bitterness or jealousy or revenge. Because when you're holding on to that, you're keeping that spirit in bondage. Yeah, you can look out on those beautiful fields out there, but it's bound in this tower with bars and, nowhere to go, can't get out. And so I think when you give this person this protective shield, it's like, hey, wait a minute, this might be a key to open this door to get out of here. And then you start seeing miraculous results take place. Like I said, I don't think any healing can take place on any level unless there's forgiveness first. If a person is harboring any type of anger or resentment, you can't, you're going to keep that spirit there. I think it's pretty hard to do. Well, it can be done, but it takes a longer amount of time. Is to working with a person in a fully conscious analytical state. It's like right now, if I were to say, you're a really nice guy. I've only known you a little while, but you're a really nice guy. Now, the first thing is going to come to your analytical mind. It's like, why is he telling me that? Oh, he's looking for something. He wants me to come back. Oh, he wants me to give him that piece of equipment. Oh, he's looking for something for nothing. That's the analytical. But when you get a person into that altered state of consciousness, that more of a relaxing state, then when you give the suggestion that you're a nice person, the analytical mind is there now. It's not gone, but it's like somewhat narrowed down. It doesn't jump in and try to take over the control. So it's like, then we begin like to internalize it. Well, maybe I am a good person. Maybe my hair was green when I was a child. Maybe what that person said about me wasn't true. Maybe what I've been telling myself is not true. We go into these alpha, theta, beta states throughout the day many, many times. And that's what altered states are, okay? So it's a natural phenomenon. You're driving your car. The humdrum of the tires with the road, the engine room, a steady sound. You kind of just staring out, and before you know it, you passed up your exit. You were in an altered state. You were there consciously, but you were in an altered state of consciousness. Daydreaming, that's a form of altered state of consciousness. Now, there's severe danger in this, because if you're sitting there staring at something, may not be nothing in particular, just staring out the window. And then you start giving yourself suggestions. Now, your analytical mind is there, but it's really narrowed down now. But you're in this altered state. You put yourself there, unaware, and you start giving yourself suggestions like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have any trade. I don't have enough education. Man, boy, this world is really, really going to hell. Everybody is just so sensitive, so much self-centered. And then when we come out of that altered state, how do we feel? We feel depressed. We feel sad. We feel inadequate, insecure. Why? Look at the suggestions you were just given to yourself while you're in that altered state. The analytical mind wasn't coming in and correcting you. It was just listening to everything and going on about its way. But everything was going into the subconscious that controls all of your body functions. Your mindset, like we said earlier. If you didn't know the day you were born, how old do you think you'd be? And most people will say 5, 10, 15 years older. And as long as you have that old mindset, and how can you be young? How can you be vibrant? How can you be full of energy and vitality? And how can you have a good attitude? Well, all of these things you have to work on and develop yourself. But once you start recognizing the power that they have, it's like, hey, this life ain't too bad. Yeah, there's a lot of crud going on out there, but and maybe that's what Jesus meant, huh? When he said, you could be in this world, but not of it. Now, how can you be in the world and not be of it? Because it's very easy to be of it. It's very easy to say, that son of a so-and-so pulled out in front of me. That's in the world. Oh, man, look at this crazy thing what he just did. You know, why do people act like that? Now you're in the world. But in order to be peaceful, to live a peaceful life, not that you got so much stuff, but to live a peaceful life, to be able to really set your spirit free, then it's like you got to let go of all that crap. Exactly. And you know, it's contagious. It's contagious. How many times have you maybe just walked into a room, didn't know anybody there, somebody invited you to this party, to this get together, and when you walk in there or walk into their home or something or other, it's like, there's something wrong. I don't feel comfortable here. You feel this, I don't know, it's like a weight, or it's like it just doesn't feel right. It's because you're picking up on that energy, on those vibrations, or those frequencies, and you start making it yours. You know, you can see this. You can see a person maybe going to a party, and there's a whole bunch of people over there, and you hear this one guy say, "Oh man, my boss is a big ass. You know, he's always looking for me to do more work." And this way, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. My boss is like that too." And then, if you're negative, you're going to be attracted to it, and you're going to go, "Oh, I heard you saying about your man. You think you got a bad boss? Let me tell you about mine." Now you're feeding the beast in a negative way. You know, there's an old proverb or Indian saying, and you've heard it before, where the two wolves were fighting. One was good, one was evil. And the little kid asked his grandpa, "Well, which one wins?" He said, "The one you feed." So we can feed this negative energy to ourselves. It doesn't have to be somebody else out there, because we're our worst enemy. Okay. So when Jesus said, you know, they asked him, what is the most important commandment we have to obey? Now, you know, I want to know the most important, because maybe I can do that one. And Jesus said, the most important commandment is to love your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body. And then he comes out in the same breath and he says, and love your neighbor as yourself. Wow, listen to that. Love your neighbor as yourself. If we loved our neighbor like we love ourselves, our neighbors would be in one hell of a shape. So that was probably the toughest commandment. Love yourself, because we've done so many things that we didn't like. Can't take them back, but we did them. And so we begin to dislike ourselves. And then before you know it, we begin to hate ourselves. You know, when I went through that severe depression, the one thing was vivid in my mind. I didn't like the person I was becoming. It was like I was truly possessed. So you're talking about spiritual warfare. Yeah, it's going on. But anger, that can possess you. That can take you over and turn you into something that you really don't want to be. But by entertaining it more and more, we keep feeding it and not realizing it. We keep giving it more strength and more energy and more everything it needs for it to manifest itself. And then before you know it, it takes us over. Now we're possessed with it. We're no longer the choice, the one to choose. It is choosing for us, and we're not even conscious of it, and we're letting it happen. That's where we get down deep and deep into that pit. But once you have that protective shield and you're aware of it, and any of this dark energy comes at you, it hits it. I'm not going there. But now you hear some people over here talking, and they're saying, oh, man, I love my job. You know, my boss took us to dinner and everything. Oh, yeah. And you kind of venture over there a little bit, and before you know it, you're drawn into that, and then you feel good. And you start thinking about what a ass your boss was, but, you know, he's not that bad of a guy. And now we're beginning to pick up that more positive energy. So energy is like a magnet. It attracts us. Good or bad, it attracts us. And if we start letting it attract us to a certain point and giving into it and thinking about it and meditating about it, that's what we're going to become. So how can you ask for healing if you're in an unhealed body or an unhealed frame of mind? It takes effort. It takes effort to be aware of these things that are coming at you and either accept them or reject them. It's all the choice. Some part in scripts, I don't know how it goes, but God said, I've given you a choice between life and death, between light and darkness. I don't remember how, but he was trying to tell us, I'm giving you a choice, the most powerful thing you'll ever have. You know, maybe to help you understand what I'm trying to do here and helping people is to just be able to give them a new awareness, a new understanding that you can be in control instead of letting those things outside of you control you. I tell this little story because it has so much power to it. It's about some ancient gods. And these gods were sitting around trying to decide where should they hide the greatest power in the universe. One of the gods raised his hand. He said, I know where to hide it. Let's hide the greatest power in the universe on the top of the highest mountain. Well, they discussed that for a while, and they said, well, sooner or later, man and woman would climb the highest mountain, and they'd find that great power. So they all sat back and started thinking again. And finally, another god said, I know where to hide the greatest power in the universe. Where? Let's hide it at the bottom of the deepest part of the ocean. Oh, that sounds pretty good. But you know, technology and everything today, getting better and better every day. Sooner or later, man and woman is going to investigate the bottom of the ocean. And they're going to find that great power. So another guy is just sitting back very quietly, very calm. And he raises his little hand. He says, I know where to hide the greatest power in the universe. Well, they're all excited to hear from him. So, well, where is it? Let's hide the greatest power in the universe within the mind of man and woman. They will never, ever think to look for it there. And so be it. And that's what we have. We have one of the greatest powers in the universe. Scientists saying we only use 10% of our brain. I don't know if we use that much. But you realize the potential, what we have hidden here, that's just longing to be set free into this vast new world instead of in this little tower behind chains and shackles and bars. We've turned that spirit loose. We're willing to step out on that limb now. We're willing to go out on that thin ice because we know somebody's got our back. And when you do that, when you take that first step, it's scary. It's not easy. But when you take that first step, it's like, whoo. And then you look over here and it's, wow, that ice looks a little thicker there. Before you know it, you're way out in the middle of the lake. No fear of the ice anymore, but going towards that destination now that you want, that you've always wanted. You've always had that yearning. You know, scientists have found that they used to think our brain was hardwired, but they're finding out now it's not. That brain structure changes. And so, but they also found out one thing, that our brain is hardwired to God, the source. Now, we may not believe that. We may not think that way. Doesn't mean that it's not still connected. I think through prayer, I'm not just talking about the repetition. I'm talking about talking to God. And maybe the whole thing in helping a person to get into this altered state, I think, again, it goes back into scripture where I think it was Jesus said, be still and know that I am God. That's our problem. We don't know how to be still. The mind chatter, all of that stuff. Oh, somebody says, oh, you're a nice guy. Oh, yeah, what is he looking for? He says, all of that analytical stuff going on. And it's hard sometimes to get into that mindset to just be still. Yeah, okay, well, I went through that one time through this little scenario type of thing because of the way that I bring God into the sessions. And, some people were saying, Louis, there's a lot of people that don't believe in God or maybe not where you are. And you could be running off a lot of your people that normally would have come to you. So maybe you shouldn't use God so much in your sessions or in your explanation about hypnosis and what have you. Maybe you ought to stick more with the scientific part of the hypnosis instead of going into the spiritual realm of it. And I thought about that for a while, and that was a temptation that I didn't realize was a temptation. And so I said, well, God, I do want to touch a lot of people, and I might be restricted a lot, so maybe I shouldn't use God as much in my session. So I did. I started cutting back. And I didn't see the results that I was getting before. And so like, wait a minute, there's something else that's going on. I'm not seeing the results. And I remember going into a bookstore one time in New Orleans on Airline Highway years ago. And I was looking for a particular book, and it was in a Catholic bookstore. And I couldn't find a book. They didn't have it. So I was looking for other books, and I didn't see nothing. And all of a sudden, off in a corner, there was like a little stand that spun around. And it held like little pictures, so bigger postcards like. And I don't know why, I picked this one up because I couldn't even see it. I picked it up and then I looked at it and I turned it over and they had a whole bunch of sheep in this picture. And they had one of those little sheep. He had on a shirt with Hawaiian flowers on it, and he had sunglasses on. And the capture said, "You don't have to look like the rest of the sheep. All you got to do is follow the shepherd." And boy, that's it. I can't do it like everybody else. I can't be another Dr. Winkler who I admired and wanted to be just like him. But I could be the best Louis Bauer. And that's the concept I held in my mind. I got to do it my way. And if it don't work out right, I got the answer towards that. But then when I start doing it more and more like that and bringing God more and more into that altered state, because I really believe that when a person is in an altered state of consciousness, that they themselves can become more in tuned to God consciousness. It's sort of like a holy encounter could take place. And what was really bothering this person, what was really consuming them and controlling them, they're free of it. And it can only happen in that altered state. I don't mean that, in other words, to get that information, you have to go there. But it's a good practice to get into, because then later on, you don't have to go through that formality of getting into that altered state. You could just kind of think about something, let your mind go with it, and it'll automatically bring you there. And like I said before, people will come into your life. Things will happen. And it's like, oh my God, can't believe that. Oh, you better believe it. You asked for it, And so the results that I've seen with people, I've seen things happen that had no logical or medical explanation, and they happen. I can't explain it. I don't know how it worked, but I know it worked. And so I stuck with that. People just, I'll give you one example. And I'm not trying to boost me, by no means. But it's like when you go with that faith, it's like I had a patient come to me one time, and she came to stop smoking. So I was giving her suggestions while she was in an altered state, suggestions about stop smoking. Now, she told me when we were talking a little bit before we started the session, she was saying in a week she had to go and have surgery on her ear. And I questioned, I said, well, what's wrong with your ear? She says, well, they found I have blood building up in the back of my eardrum, and the only way to get it out would be surgery. Oh, okay. So I just let it go. So I'm giving her suggestions about stop smoking. And so after I finished all this thing with the stop smoking, I felt something kind of compelled me, to put your hand over her ear. Now, you got to understand one thing. I'm in an office, closed doors, with a lady, just her and I. She could have accused me of anything, and I had no way to back it up. Put my hand over her ear. But I knew that didn't come from me. So I said, in just a few moments, I'm going to place my hand over your ear, and it's going to help you to relax even more. You'll be able to feel how much more relaxed you can feel. That's a good positive therapeutic suggestion. So I put my hand over her ear, and it's like I start feeling like a little warmth coming from my hand. But then it's like, oh, this is crazy, you know. And then it come and it said, put your finger in her ear. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I ain't doing that. Stick my finger in some lady's ear that's sitting in a recliner in a closed office. No, I ain't doing that. But it was so profound that I knew I had to do it. So I did. I just put my finger in the ear. I said, and notice how much more relaxed you feel, what have you. After the session, woman didn't say nothing. I didn't know how she took it. And she left. And she called me up the following week and she said, I went in for my pre-op and all, and the doctor wanted to take some more x-rays to do, I don't remember the procedure. And he couldn't find any blood in the back of my ear. And he asked me, what did I do? I told him, I didn't do anything. I don't know. I didn't tell him what you did, but she said, there was no blood there. I don't need the surgery. That was profound. But if I could have also stopped that from happening by saying, better not do this. This woman can accuse me of something, you know. And that's the kind of thoughts that was going through my mind. And that was probably one of the first big things I've seen as far as miracles were concerned. And so I knew I had to do more of what was coming to me. Now, you know, you have to, if a person's coming to you for something, that's their expectation. You can't vary from that. So you have to kind of set up a stage, a script, or something to kind of know which therapeutic suggestions to give to them for that particular problem. But it was like so many times after that, I'd have something prepared and following along those aspects. And then all of a sudden it was like changing horses midstream, saying something like, oh my God, why did I say that? And come to find out later on, I got the answer why I said it or why I did something. So, yeah, doubts can come into our mind and we can stop things from happening. But I think when you become more in tune to that, I don't know, to that connection, then it's like, I can step out there because somebody's got my back. You know, and so I've seen results take place that, like I said, had no logical or medical explanation, and they happen. To me, hypnosis was just a tool. It was an instrument that I could use to help get that person into that quiet place where they can get in touch with that part of themselves that knew what to do and knew how to do it. That's basic. So I was almost like a little tour guide, you know. It goes back to when I was in the Navy. I was stationed in San Francisco on a tugboat, and these other two guys that was on a boat with me, we had a weekend leave, and so this one fellow said, "Man, I hear about this place. I don't even remember where it was or the name of. Man, they got a dance hall, plenty of women. Man, they all crazy for servicemen. You know, that's where we got to be. You know, so we got out there on Bayshore Highway. They called it Bloody Bayshore because it was so many people killed there. But anyway, and we were hitchhiking. I mean, none of us had cars, so we were hitchhiking. Now, there are thousands of cars, more than on Interstate 10. And it was zooming by. And all of a sudden, this one car pulls over, And man, three of us, man, we start running towards the car. And there were three gals in the car. One was driving, was super good looking. I've already picked her out. That was it. So they said, where are you going? And I said, well, we're going to this place up here. We're here. There's a nice bar and dance hall and all. Oh, I never heard of it. She said, so where are you going? Oh, we're going to Redwood City. What's in Redwood City? I never heard of Redwood City. Oh, they got a good country western dance hall there. Nice big dance hall, good country western band. So could we come along with you all that? Now we got three girls already. We didn't have to go looking for nothing. Say, oh yeah, if y'all want to, yeah. So they took us to the dance hall in Redwood City. Well, boy, I felt like $1,000,000. This gal was really nice looking. A lot of servicemen there in uniforms and all. Get up on the dance floor with this gal, boy, you were looked at, you know. And then I danced with her quite a bit of time, quite a bit of the night. And then I noticed I had a little blonde-haired gal way across the room, completely across the room. She was dancing. You know, they had Marines and sailors, soldiers, all that there, Air Force guys, all the different branches. And I noticed she got up plenty and danced. And it looked like she was a pretty good dancer. So I was going to go over to ask her to dance, but her girlfriend had to her mother had to come with her as a chaperone. They wouldn't let the girls go out by themselves. They had to have a chaperone. And she was a big Hawaiian woman. And she sat there very intimidating. And I said, I ain't going to ask that girl. I ain't put myself in that situation, you know. And I mean, she looked like she could eat you up, you know. And so, but anyway, I went and asked her to dance. And the rest of the night we danced. I don't know whatever happened to the girls that we came with. In fact, the guys that I came there with, one of them left with them. And so one of the other guys was there with me. But I danced the rest of the night, you know, with her. And I didn't know this later, but I was attracted to her. I'm not talking about sexually attracted, but there was just something about her. Now, I can't say I fell in love with her because I didn't know what love was. I was never in love. It's like, can you know what chocolate tastes like if you haven't eaten it, okay? So it's like, I can't say I fell in love with her, but I felt drawn to her. And so she asked me, she says, are you coming back next week? I said, yeah, I'll be. Are you going to be here? She says, yeah. Oh, she said, okay, I'm looking forward to that. Well, come to find out I had a pull duty and what have you. But I went the following week and, oh, she missed me and this and that. So, you know, it's like it was still something I wanted to be with her. I can't say why. I can't put a finger on that. But I felt good being with her. And we danced all that night again together and all. And I guess, you know, we decided, I gave her a little ring. And 3 months later, we were married. And everybody said, oh, man, that ain't going to work. You don't know that girl. And, you know, and, oh, man, all kind of stuff. And I didn't know whether it was going to work. And I didn't know whether I wanted to get married. But I did know I wanted to spend time with her. In all of our 67 years of marriage, she was always there for me. She was always, I used to tell her, you know, you're the wind beneath my wings, because in order for a bird to fly or an eagle to fly 10,000 feet high, it has to have some kind of a wind, or air, for them wings to hold it up. And that's what she did. She always held me up. She when I went through the depression, she said, don't worry about it. You'll find a job. Things will work out for us, And she was always there to build me up. And yet I felt like she was always in the shadow. She never did nothing outstanding. She never, spoke in front of a group of people. It's just like, but she was there. She had my back. And, no matter what I wanted to do, I said, I'd like to do this. Oh, you can do that. We can do that. Don't worry about nothing. It'll work out best for us. And so I had that for all of those years. And then when she crossed over to the other side, in minutes from having it to not having it, it was like somebody amputated my arm and my leg. My whole being wasn't here anymore. And I used to tell people, people would say, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'd say, yeah, I lost my wife a year ago. And one night in prayer, and when I say prayer, I just talk to God. I was just saying, oh God, I miss her so much. Oh, there's so many things I should have done that I didn't do. Oh God, I miss her so bad. Oh man, now that she's gone, I should have done this and I should have done that before. And like from nowhere, no inclination of any thought like this. But it came into my mind. It wasn't her audio voice, but it was like her voice. And it said, I'm not gone. I'm just not here. And that was so profound. I realized then that, death can take a life, but it can't take away a relationship. That somehow she was just right here on the other side of this veil. I couldn't consciously reach over it, get it, touch it, feel it, smell it, taste it, experience it. But I knew it was there. I knew it existed, which I didn't before. So it was like death is just a part of life. It's almost the same as when we're born. So it's like when our loved ones go, I don't want to say go or lost, but when our loved ones, I think for a better and more soothing terminology, when they cross over to that other side, they're not gone. They're just not here. And since then, I feel her presence sometime. And I acknowledge it. I'll say, I feel you. I think I don't know, this might be crazy, but there's so much to do with frequencies. I think when they cross over, when all of us cross over, by not having to be constricted and refined to this body, to this vehicle, because this is the only thing we have to experience life with. So when we can shed that, I think it's more like we become more aware of that other side. And I think they, on the other side, operate at such a high frequency level. It's almost like out of the tone of your ears, so you can't hear it. But it's such a high frequency, and we're here trapped in this body, on this earth, and we operate at kind of a lower frequency. But sometime, if we're consciously aware of this and work towards it and try to understand this more, I think with our positive attitude, with a better outlook on life, on things and people, I think we begin to raise this frequency, this energy level to a point. You see, they're at such a higher frequency that they can't come down to this low frequency anymore. And we can't get up to that high frequency where they are. But I think sometime we can kind of sort of, these two frequencies will start resonating with one another, and we punch through that curtain, and it's like, I know you're not gone, you're just not here. And I can accept that. And so it's like, when you get these feelings, sometime, I believe, this is just my belief of what I've experienced, but I think sometime when you get this feeling of that presence, that you have to acknowledge it. Because if you don't, it's going to get weaker and weaker and go to the website, the roadside, and it's like, it's not going to be there anymore. So I think the more you acknowledge it, the more you anticipate it, the more it becomes more prevalent, stronger. And sometimes it's much easier to punch through that little curtain and get a little glimpse or a little feeling or a little emotion and say, okay, you got to me. I can feel you now. I can see you. Sometimes I'll get a feeling sitting in this chair. I'll be looking at TV. I got to turn around and look in the chair because I feel the presence so strong. I know she's not there. I know that. But I still got to look over there. That's how prevalent, how strong that sense is. And it's something I think we develop, just like we develop our muscles. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep in practice with it. And so, if I could say anything to anybody that had lost a loved one, don't use the terminology that you've lost them or that they have died. They're just on the other side, that's all. Just close to us, but we can't get through that curtain. Her and I, a lady had taken a picture of her and I when we first built this house out here, and they came to visit us, and she took a picture, I didn't know it, of her and I walking back to the house after we saw them off. And she took a picture of us there. And when she showed me that picture, I said, oh man, I'd like to see if somebody could put us somewhere like in the heavens, so to speak, like she's showing me, she's taking me on a tour now, and saying, look, here's what's here for you. Here's what's awaiting you, And, when you go, you're not going to be gone. You're going to leave a lot behind, and still be able to communicate if the recipient is tuned into it. You can't force that energy. And so I had put a picture of her, that picture when we were walking into the house. She cropped all that out, and she put the heavens there, and it was just like I was holding a hand, the same thing, like in that picture. But the lady put the wings on her, and it was like, she's showing me, look, yeah, life is tough, but look what you got to look forward to, And so it made me really realize, we all fear death, or most people anyway. But with this here and seeing that picture, it reminded me, yeah, death can take a life. It can't take away a relationship. That's eternal. That's forever. That is eternal, And I guess that's the thing that gives me the comfort. It gives me the feeling a lot of times I don't feel alone. I know her presence is here. I can't see her, can't talk to her. She can't talk to me, but I know the spiritual presence is here because sometimes I can sense it. And that ain't coming from me. I'm not just conjuring it in my head. I know it. And there's a big difference between believing something, because you can believe anything, but there's a knowing that way above beliefs. When you know, you know. And nobody can change that. I don't care how much things you tell me or what have you. I'll listen to you, but you're not going to change that. That big picture I got of her, I was sitting here in prayer again, and, just like not thinking of anything, just letting things come in and go out my mind, just trying to be as open and clear as I could, to hear whatever I needed to hear. And as I'm sitting there, the thought come in my mind, powerful thought. And it said her hand. That didn't make any sense. I'm sitting here in the dark. I can't see no pictures with her hand. So I turn on a little lamp and I look and I can still hardly see it. So I turn the lamp back out. I'm staring back up at the candles, house completely dark. Her hand. Turn on a big light. I got up and I start looking over the fireplace at the pictures and looked over there. Nothing came to me. I mean, I could see her hands, but nothing came through. I could see the rings, wedding ring, or diamond ring I gave her and all that, but it's like nothing came. So I was still sitting back down. I turned the lights back out. And all of a sudden, a realization came in. And I turned the big light on again and I looked at that picture. And it was almost like she was saying, you see, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not gone, I'm just not here. And you're here with me in that picture. But no one can see you. But you're there. And I went and got the picture that was taken from. And that's my shoulder her hand is on. Well, when that awareness came to me, I got goosebumps. I mean, it was so profound. It was again like her just saying, you see what I'm trying to show you? Just because your loved ones aren't here doesn't mean they're gone. You're still there with me. And I'm still there with you. not in the physical form anymore, but I think still in the spiritual form. And I think that's what we pick up sometime. We pick up that energy, that frequency, that resonancy, whatever it may be. It throws us a little bit into that veil. We can kind of get a slight glimpse of that other side. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just that slight glimpse. And it gives you everything you need to be able to cope with it. And let me tell you something, and this might sound a little harsh, selfish, but it's not. I prayed to God that if either one of us had to go, she'd go first. I didn't want to leave her with the grief. I didn't want to leave her having to pay the bills at the end of the month, to be aware of the doctor's appointments and this and that, and all the stuff that goes with living. She was too good to go through all that. So I asked God, please, if one of us have to go, let it be her. I was cleaning up my office, and I came across a little notepad, and her name was on it, in room 714. What the hell was she in a hotel room? What was, I realized years ago it was like a conference that we went to, and I never seen this before. I remember now having a little pad, same thing. 35 years. I found this pad. And it was a love letter she wrote me. And in the love letter, she said, I pray to God that if one of us has to go first, that it'll be me. I don't know if I can handle the grief of losing it. Was that powerful? 35 years, I stumbled upon this thing. I felt very compelled to put something together in saying, what is true love? There's so many divorces that are going on today. There's so many people that are getting married. I think I could be wrong now, but I think for the wrong reasons. Fine looking gal, boy, on my arm. Oh, she's good in bed. Oh man, her parents have got a lot of money. Oh, she's got a good job. Oh, I went to school with her. She was my childhood sweetheart. And so we got married, and 2 years later we got divorced. So what is true love? What is there, that makes that connection? It wasn't true love when I first saw her, but I was attracted to something that she had. And do you know, after some time had passed, she told me this, and I said, oh, come on. She said, no, I'm serious. When she saw me dancing with this other girl, hundreds of people in this dance hall now, tremendous place. She told her girlfriend who was sitting next to her, she said, you see that sailor? I'm going to marry somebody just like that guy. And the girl was a maid of honor at our wedding. And I said, Eliza, let me ask you something. And I started to tell her, she says, no, she did. She told my mother and I, see that sale? I'm going to marry a guy like that. What was going on? Was there some sort of spiritual connection? Something had to be, there had to be a purpose. There had to be a reason. There had to be something that connected. And you look back, at our family, and you can see, oh my God, all the good that's coming from, that it came from, Many times we feel that we'd like to hold our wife's hand or our girlfriend or whoever it may be, or we maybe would like to put our arm around her, or maybe we're sitting in two different chairs and we'd like to come snuggle up. But we have a fear factor in there. If I say that, what is she going to say about it? What is she going to think about it? Is that going to be right? Am I going to lose my mask that I've been wearing? Am I ready to really show my true self? Because that's when you're out on a limb now. And but if you got the partner that loves you, you ain't got to worry about that. And you develop that. That later on. Do I have regrets? Yes. We're all going to have regrets. I sit back and say, she commented, we bought that van, and I love this van, and we ought to take a trip to the Smokies. Yeah, we were going to do that, but never did. So what I'm saying is, true love is that when that thought comes from your heart to hold a hand, don't worry about where you are. Don't worry about how many people are looking at you. Don't worry about what she might say or she may not say. Do it. Just do it. And then you start seeing the results that come from it. And like I say, what she had was contagious to me, because I start picking up on that, not realizing what it was, but it felt good, And so I wanted to use it more. And then I thought about that even more and deeper now. That's true. I mean, she gave, and I received. But then I wanted to give, and it became a mutual thing then. And then instead of worrying about what other people are going to say or what that person may think or say, it don't matter. Just do it. And don't let these things stand in the way. If you feel from your heart that it's something that you want to do for that partner or for that person, don't get wrapped up in the results of what might happen and what may not happen. Just do it, and the rest will take care of itself. Sure, like I said, we're all going to have regrets, but it's not the deep regrets. It's like, I could have done that, but, still had a beautiful life. The morning she woke up, she wasn't feeling good for quite some time, but she woke up one morning, she come in the hallway. I'm sitting in the recliner over there. And she said, I said, hey, how you feel? She says, Louis, I feel great. I feel so good today. I feel better than I felt a long time ago. I said, well, that's good. I said, well, look, you want to get dressed and we'll go take a ride or something? No, she said, let's just sit down and watch TV together. So we watched a couple of old movies and we put it on pause and we talked. Oh, remember when we were here, we did this and we did that. And so it was a day of reminiscence, so to speak. And then, around, 9 o'clock at night or so, somewhere around that, 8 o'clock, she got up and she said, gee, I'm not feeling good. I don't know what's wrong. She said, look how I'm shaking. I need some air. So, wait, I walk with you. And I walked outside with her. uh, Kathy come over, and she said, oh, we're going to bring her to the hospital. So we helped her off the chair. We walked her to the car, got her up on a seat. I can remember pushing her butt up on a seat like that. And when she got in the seat, she just leaned back and she went, and that was it. That was it, that fast. So don't create regrets. Just do what you feel you have to do from your heart. And however they turn out will be okay. But we don't know how fast and furious that life could be just taken from us. And it was. It was just in a split second. Talking, walking, split second later. That was it. So maybe it's not as much doing planning in the future. Maybe it's more planning to live in the present. Because, you know, I think most people today in this world, the way things are going, most people, not everybody, but most people today are living in the past. Or they're living in the future. With oh man, what's going to happen to me? I'm this and that. And I don't have enough money, and when am I going to get this and that? And they miss the present. You know, I can remember my professor telling me, he said there was a guy, no matter where he went, he always looked on the ground, and he'd find money. And he called his friend over one day. He said, "Come here, I want to show you something." He said, "When you walk, do you look at the ground?" But, "No, I don't." Man, he said, "Look what you're missing. Look at this." He had a whole bottle full of change, quarters, nickels, and everything. I found all this because when I walk, I look down at the ground. And his friend said, "But do you realize how many sunsets that you've missed?" And it's like, yeah, we live in the future, or we live in the past. But really try to start living in the present, and that's a little difficult. Because the mind always wants to bring you back to what happened. Or what this person did you, or that person, or you didn't succeed in this, and I may not be able to do that in the future. And so we're living and breathing the present, but we're living in the past or the future. And I think we need to focus more on living in the present, the moment. Don't pass up the moment is what I'm saying, the opportunity. And so when you do something make you feel a little uncomfortable, or I don't know if I should do this or not, if you really feel from your heart you want to do it to project something to your partner or to someone else, God, I got to say, do it. And don't get wrapped up in all the other stuff, you know. But going back to true love, and I mean, who really knows? Yeah, well, when I was asking people about, you know, explain to me, how do you define true love? I got the explanation from dictionaries. I got the explanation from different churches and religions. I knew all that. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to know what true love, how could you identify true love? That's what I wanted to know. Where do you see true love? So I had to somewhat edit a lot of this stuff because that's not what I was looking for. But some came through. And in finding that love letter that she wrote to me 35 years ago, that said it all. That's what I was looking for. And that's why I wanted to publish that in some kind of way. That's why I put it on my website, because if somebody was having a problem or saying, recently, a mother called me up and said, our son's thinking about getting married. They've been going out for a year and a half now, thinking about getting married. But he came to me last week and he told me he didn't know whether he was doing the right thing. He had some little doubts or something. Well, then if that's coming in, is that true love? I don't know. I can't answer that. But I think, I don't know how to share this, but you can't tell somebody that because it's hard for you to comprehend it. But when you experienced it from someone else, when they gave their all, it's like you said earlier, you know, the Heavenly Father knew what was going to happen there, but he still sent the Son. You know, would we have sent our son into an environment like that? No way. That'd be some super love there. But there was a lesson to learn out of that. And so if we don't look at it as a mistake, but as a lesson to learn, then we may alter our course. Not because somebody told us this or that, or that's not going to work, or you haven't been going out with her long enough, or you don't know her. But it's like there's something else that comes in there. One day when I was in meditation on thought, and, you know, it was like a cloud came into my head. And it's like, why in the world have I got a cloud? And I'm trying to think about this. What does this mean? What is that for me to learn in this? And then it was like, if you look at a cloud and you admire it, you'll never see that cloud again. I don't care how long, how often, or where you are looking up at the sky, you will never, ever see that cloud again. So maybe it was like a miraculous thing for you to experience, that cloud, because it was one of a kind. It's very unique. There's no others like it. So what about the person you meet in the grocery store? That person could be that cloud. You may never see him again. You may never talk to him. You may not, they're just completely gone out of your life. But you came across him one time. So why not enjoy that moment? Why not just, when you can make eye contact with him, and you can, say hi. Or, oh, that's a pretty dress you got on. Or, hey, I like your pants. Because you'll never see that cloud again. But you can have a tremendous impact. Because later on down the line, in a time of need, they may remember and say, I remember the guy I met in the store. He was just so pleasant and just, you know, and something else takes place. So it's like you. Come in here today. You dropped the pebble. A lot of things going on. You got surgery tomorrow. You got to get a haircut. There's just so much going on. But you still came here because you had a pebble to drop. Now, you don't know how far that's going to go out. And it doesn't matter. But you dropped the pebble. And that's what counts. Just dropping the pebble. And so true love, I think it's when you don't get wrapped up in yourself. I asked my daughter, I said, Kathy, how would you define true love? And she thought about that for a while, and she said, true love is when you lose self and the other person becomes more important. And true love begins then, when you get rid of the self, the ego, the mask, and all the other stuff that we wear, and just be ourselves. Just be what we were created to be in our own unique way. You can't be, I can't be another you, and John can't be another me, but we can be the best me we could possibly be. And that's what we need to work on. So I think true love is willing to give, whether it's money, time, effort, energy, knowledge, wisdom, whatever it is, to be willing to give it. And not looking for anything in return. Because you can't fathom what can come to you in return when you really just give because you want to give, because you want to help that person. There's a part of scripture, it says, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Think about that. Think about the position that you have in everyday life, every moment, the opportunity you have to recognize that cloud. And so it's like, I guess just giving of yourself, not looking for anything in return. John brought something up to me. We were talking about purpose. John brought that up. I never even thought of it like that. But we all created with a purpose. May not know what it is, and that's okay. But we got to keep in mind that there is a purpose. Whatever direction you go searching for that purpose, that's okay. You may go through that door, but get knocked in the head there, so you're not going to go in that door no more until you seek and search for the right one. I think all of us, I didn't look at it this way, but all of us are looking for a purpose in life. And when we find that purpose or purposes, life becomes more pleasurable, becomes more peaceful. I don't know, it's just like you can be in the world, but not of it. There's so many people that are bound with these chains in this tower and these bars. And the key's laying right there to the door, get out. But they don't have any awareness of it. They don't have any knowledge of it. Knowledge, I used to pray for knowledge. Oh, God, please, I need more knowledge. I need more understanding. I need, teach me this, teach me that. And then it was like, I don't know if I want knowledge. Knowledge comes from the past. That's how you get knowledge. What somebody else did and it failed and they did it again and it came, and now they can teach you how to do it. That's knowledge. Wisdom, that's a different story. That comes from the future. That comes from that encounter, which I felt like a person in this altered state of consciousness could make that holy encounter, that could make that connection. I don't care what it was that was bothering them. It was some type of false belief that was put there. And it's like, well, Jesus said it himself, the truth will set you free. And we're living, really, honestly, all of us, many times, are living in lies. Or living with somebody else's beliefs. Or what we were taught. You know, there's a story, I love this, and I'll calm down after this. But it was like this mother was teaching her little girl how to cook a pot roast. And she said, I'm going to show you just the exact way Grandma used taught me. You heard it? Did you hear this? Yes.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. So, in other words, now here's the pot roast. You got to have an iron skillet because that's the flavor is best in iron pots. And then we cut the end off here, put the roast in there, put all our garlic and everything, and Grandma would stir it up and you let it cook for 2 hours. Okay. Mom, well, why did you cut the ends off? Well, I don't know, baby. That's the way Grandma showed me how to do it. I guess it absorbs more juices and everything in it. So finally, she was over by the Grandma's house, and she said, Grandma, Mom was teaching me how to cook a pot roast like you taught her. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. How did it come out? Come out great. Grandma, I got a question to ask you. What's that, hon? Why did you cut off both ends of the roast? What do you mean? Well, Mama cut off both ends of the roast. That's the way you showed her how to do it. Oh, she said, honey, I don't know why your mom cuts off the ends. I cut them off because I had a small pot. We were taught that way. So we got to get out of this mindset, this old man said, this I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. None of us are. None of us are worthy. There ain't a doggone thing in this world we can do to become worthy. But we got to just do the best we can while we're here. And it's not the best because we made more money or we got more things and stuff. Because, you know, there was a program on TV one day. My wife was looking at it, and I kind of overheard it. And the capture was, as the sand flows through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. She used to watch that often. And it made me think. And just think about this. When the last grain of sand slips through our hourglass, what is it that's going to really matter? All the stuff, all the money and savings, all the new clothes, the big car. People aren't going to remember you for that. It's what you were, what you gave. You know, and I don't know, that's just the way I looked at it, you know. And I can't emphasize, I know it's hard to keep a good attitude. I know that it's hard. But I know that means so much in the piece of our life. Because it's very easy to go down that dark side, you know, to that negativity. Because it's like a magnet, like I said, it draws you. But when you try constantly to keep that better attitude, that better outlook on life, it makes all the difference in the world. It increases endorphins, builds new neuron pathways. There's so many things that are taking place body-wise, chemically, cellular structure, and everything else by just that processing. So if you're thinking negative, it has to have a negative effect on you. Not only on your body, because it's producing negative chemicals, but it has to do also with your mind and your psychic, your spiritual part. So you can't keep thinking the way you've been thinking and expect good, positive results from it if your thinking was negative. That's utterly impossible. So if you keep thinking the way you've been thinking, you're going to continue keeping the same results that you've been having. Somewhere along the line, something has to come through where you look at yourself and say, I'm not happy where I am right now. What else is there out there for me? And be open and susceptible to it and venture out there to it. Don't be afraid of what other people are going to say or do or think about you. Just go out there and do it. Sean, I hope this was helpful. I hope this can, my whole processing of wanting to do this thing, and I didn't expect what we were going to do today, was just to try to get something out there, some way, shape, or form, to maybe just help the one person that needed it the most. Then I would say our job here, well spent. And I think one day we'll hear those magic words, welcome home, my good and faithful servant. Doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter how many friends you got, or that's what's like coming from here, you know. That's what gives you that peace that I think the whole universe is looking for. And where's it at? Not at the bottom of the ocean. Not on the highest mountain. Right here. Right there.
Well, I very much appreciate your time.
Oh, God, as I appreciate you. I really believe today, having this opportunity, I think we've thrown a lot of spaghettis on the wall. And I just ask our Heavenly Father to put the right people at the right time in the right place. If this is for them, maybe out of the whole presentation that we did, which was a number of hours, and maybe just one simple little thing that can help somebody. So Heavenly Father, I thank you for this time, for this space, for the people that were able to get together and do this. For I really believe this is just the beginning. It's something like my wife said. I want to grow old with you. Because the best is yet to come. Amen. Thank you. In so many ways. We're going to do something with it, so John.
Cameron's good.